إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله تعالى من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا ونصلي ونسلم على خاتم النبيين ورحمة الله للعالمين وإمام المتقين أجمعين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي اللهم آمين يا رب العالمين. ثم أما بعد، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Emotionally taxing relationships. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam in an amazing hadith, and all his sayings sallallahu alayhi wasallam are amazing. All the hadith of Habibuna Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam are there to give a message and to share a lesson with us sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Say sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He said in the hadith narrated by Sayyidina Hudhayfa that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, لا ينبغي للمرء أن يذل نفسه. فقالوا وكيف للمرء أن يذل نفسه يا رسول الله؟ قال أن يتعرض من البلاء لما لا يطيق. صدق رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Sayyidina Huzaifa narrated that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, it is not feasible, it is not part of Islam, it shouldn't be done that a man or a woman, a person, humiliates himself or herself. The Sahaba around Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam asked him that question. How do we humiliate ourselves? In what context? What do you exactly mean, Ya Rasulullah? So he sallallahu alayhi wasallam replied, أن يتعرض من البلاء لما لا يطيق. That you expose yourself to certain harms with which you cannot continue. You expose yourself to be abused, to be emotionally drained to a level with which you cannot continue. أن يتعرض من البلاء لما لا يطيق. Sisters and brothers, in our relationships, we have good people who are always feeding us with positive vibes. They are helpful to us and our families. They are there when we need them, and they are always there for us, and they stand behind us fully and squarely, right? They are supportive people, they are positive people. And we have other categories of friends or community members, or even family members who are a burden on us. They are technically a burden on you. They are there to share with you their negative vibes, how bad their day was, how painful they are going through, and they are there to communicate this and this only to you. Subhanallah Rabbil Alameen. This hadith is talking about this category of people who are a burden on you always. People who want you to spend hours and hours listening to their complaints and to their worries, giving them a willing listening ear all the time. They don't understand or even appreciate that you're a human being like them. You have your own worries and sadnesses and stressors and anxieties. You have your own painful experiences. So they are there to add more insults to your injuries. Sometimes you're kind enough to receive a phone call from somebody, and you don't send an automated voicemail or an automated text message. You feel emotionally taxed to reply to somebody immediately over the phone. No, at certain times you need to ignore certain things and to reply at some other time. At certain times, sisters and brothers, you need to send an automated message or to reply that I am not available now. If you know that the person at the other end is gonna abuse your time or abuse your negative, your positive energy, or occupy your mindset and your line of life with certain things that are only his, and this is, it's not just one time I'm talking about, it's about multiple times, multiple attempts. We have people in our lives who get back to us or call us or reach out to us only when they have problems. Yes, it is always good to act as agony aunts, but self-care is very important. Even, for everyone. It's not, they always advise us in mental health courses that self-care is very important in order for you to care for other people. You cannot care for yourself without being able, you cannot care for other people, sorry, without being able to care for yourself first. But self-care, if you're like a senior family member, self-care is very important. If you are a person known among your circle of friends or relatives within the family circle that you're a person people resort to or get back to. I was talking to somebody the other day from our community, and he said, what? The average missed calls or phone calls I receive in a day is around 70-ish or 80-ish missed calls. Or how will you be able to cope with that? People are abusing you and abusing your time. Another person is saying, like, I received like 600 WhatsApp messages and notifications per day, for example. Another person was showing me his phone and say, how come that I reply to all these WhatsApp triggers, for example? So at a certain time, you shouldn't overburden yourself with certain things that are not meant for you, especially with the overflow of information and sometimes the overly demanding requests and lack of appreciation to our time from other people sitting at the other end. I could be sitting at, comfortably, I have nothing to worry about, and I want to chat with somebody because I feel lonely. It is wrong religiously to abuse someone else's time and to impose yourself on someone else's time and let someone else, carry that burden. It's a burden. We should be a source of comfort and support for each other. We should appreciate and value each other's time and life and engagements. We should always give priority to each other's families and each other's schedules. If there is a way to be, let me put it like that religiously. If there is no way but to talk to somebody, just book an appointment with that person. Just send a text message gently asking the person whether he is available or not and at what time, and make it like business oriented if you're there to seek advice. Sometimes I receive phone calls, and the person is just after an answer to a question or so, and he may end up talking for 15-20 minutes, and I have to listen to him or her. I'm not here to complain about certain things happening to me as an imam, but I'm just talking in abstract sense. And people in social services, imams, psychologists, social workers, mental health therapists, nurses, people who deal with the public, experience that kind of, being inundated with certain things, or being drained when it comes to their energies. So that's why Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, أن يتعرض المرء من البلاء لما لا يطيق. You shouldn't expose yourself. You shouldn't let this overwhelm you, because nobody can abuse your time without you allowing them to abuse your time. Nobody is gonna elongate a telephone conversation or have a prolonged conversation with you without you accepting and acknowledging and agreeing to that. And by the way, there is no difference between this hadith which I shared with you and the other authentic hadith as well, in which Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, الذي يخالط الناس ويصبر على أذاهم خير من الذي لا يخالط الناس ولا يصبر على أذاهم. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi is saying that the person who engages and interacts with people and withstands their misbehavior is better than the person who doesn't interact with people, or is isolating himself or herself from people, and is not exposed to their misbehaviors or their abuse. There is no contradiction between this hadith which I mentioned at the beginning of this episode and this hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Both of them are authentic, both of them are amazing, and both of them are sending different messages. This latter hadith about the person who is exposed to people and withstanding their harms and being in a position to listen to them, sometimes you have no choice. If you're in a helping profession, if you're a psychologist or a social worker or like a doctor, right, you need to receive patients and you need to listen to them. But even in these situations, you're supposed to have a time limit or a time frame or a time slot for a person. You've been being in an imam position sometimes is overwhelming. I remember, and this is like something real. I remember that on July afternoon, somebody came to me after Zuhri prayer from like 2 o'clock, and he or she was just narrating and telling and chatting about real life painful events for like 4 hours, 4 consecutive hours. I only realized about self-care like a year ago, that we need to exercise self-care. I started reading about burnout a couple of years ago. So we need to pay attention to the negative vibes we receive from other people. We need to be careful that our time and our life and our family priorities should take priority over anything else. We need to set boundaries. We need to exercise boundaries, and we need to train ourselves to set boundaries in our relationships. So this is like an amazing hadith which I thought could be helpful, inshallah Rabbil Alameen, to share with you. العلاقات أيها السادة لا تقوم على التنازلات، بل تقوم على الاحترام المتبادل. Relationships will not continue when I make concessions for you to allow you, for example, to tell me your own stuff time and time again, and on and on, and to give you like my listening willing ear 24/7. Relationships will continue to be fed with respect and appreciation for each other's time and each other's circumstances and attitudes. How do we behave with like such people who just impose themselves and their agendas on ourselves and our agendas? Just stop the relationship. Don't live broken hearted to live up to someone else's expectations. Akhi, ukhti. Don't try to be a people pleaser anymore. Don't allow emotionally taxing relationships. Always someone is calling you and mentioning bad stuff about their in-laws and about their husbands or wives or sisters or family members or other people, or talking about politics. Sometimes we get sick when we hear stuff we're not supposed to hear. If there is somebody who's seeking your advice, let it be business-like. Tell a brother or a sister, you know what, I love talking to you, but I'm only available for like 5-10 minutes. And don't let those 5-10 minutes to be like 2 hours, for example. If you have extra time, if you feel that you have, mashallah, lots of time, just try to read the Quran, just try to mention the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, immerse yourself in dhikr, say salawat and taslimat, Abu Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Occupy your time with a useful thing. Educate your kids, educate yourself about Islam, listen to an online lecture, share something good with the family, take care of your kids, babysit your kids, go out and have fresh air, enjoy some workout or exercise. There are lots of things to enjoy and to do beyond letting ourselves be exposed to another person's taxing relationship. I mean emotionally taxing relationship. In conclusion, this is an amazing hadith by Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, from which we learn how to adjust our relationships, when to start a relationship, when to start a conversation, how to end a relationship, and for what reason. And also it's a way of developing a healthy relationship with other people. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. Until we meet again, inshallah Rabbil Alameen, next Tuesday at 8. استودعكم الله الذي لا تضيع ودائعه. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.